I would love to share the cage with Robert Whittaker. The Jared Cannonier fight is not something that really excites me. He tends to bring out the boring in people.
The AllStar app, the #1 app in the business. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL, and more. Get the app right now. Link in description.
The first thing I want to get into is your last fight against Darren Till, man. Till, he came in really good shape. He looked like he was really prepared. He had his back against the wall, but you choked him out in the 3rd round. You got the bonus. An incredible fight. Was that what you expected out of him? Was that what you expected out of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's with a guy like Till, it's always it's going to go one of two ways. You're going to have one of two Tills. You're going to have the Darren Till that fought Derek Brunson, the Darren Till that showed up out of shape, the Darren Till that looked like he didn't even belong in the professional arena, or you can get the Darren Till that I faced, the Darren Till that showed up against Robert Whittaker, the Darren Till that can be a world champion. So when we fought, there's just no way. He looked in good shape physically, but there's just no way to see up until the fight happens. And when he came out in the 2nd round after taking a big beating in that 1st round, which I wasn't that surprised how the 1st round went. I knew physically I was a lot stronger, a lot bigger, but when he came out in the 2nd round, I knew it was the world champion material Darren Till that showed up on that night. And yeah, I mean, he made me work for it. He made me work for that win, and I wouldn't have chosen any other way. I don't want my win to be watered down because Darren Till wasn't prepared enough. He wasn't looking good. I wanted to work for that win. I wanted to beat the best Darren Till, and I think I got the best Darren Till on that night.
Yeah, for sure. It was an incredible win, and that 1st round was so insane, man. You put a beating on him, and he was fighting tooth and nail. What was going through your mind, man, when you landed like 60 unanswered shots?
Yeah, I mean, didn't expect it to happen that quick. I definitely expected to be much stronger than Darren Till, overpower him with my weight and power advantage. And when I grabbed him and I punched him, at first it felt like almost like, is he baiting me? Because, I had him in a good position, had wrist control, had the arm trap, but I was like, he's not. He tried to move, but I was like, he can't be like, I thought he would fight a little bit harder to get out of there. Next moment, the ref was saying, and I was hitting with around 60% the first 10 shots, and the ref was saying, listen, this is your first warning, defend yourself. And I said, oh shit. I mean, this is the first warning. And I started going for it. And I started feeling I landing hard punches. And he couldn't get out. And I was just like, is this going to be it? I'm going to finish this fight because I have a very good killer instinct. I'm going to finish this guy. And I'm glad they didn't stop the fight. There was a lot of people that said they should have stopped the fight or could have stopped the fight. Darren Till was in that fight the whole time. There was no way the ref should have stopped that fight. Like every time, even when I caught him, every time the ref gave him the warning to improve his position, he did something to show the ref that he was still there. He blocked the shot. He changed his position. So I'm glad the ref didn't stop that fight because that would have been controversial, and I wouldn't have agreed with that stoppage, even though I would have gotten the win. But I mean, what went through my head was like, is this going to be over so quick? All this hype, all this build up, and I mean, 2 minutes in, I'm going to finish this fight. But he showed his champion heart, and he showed why he's one of the best fighters in the world. But I also showed why I'm better.
You said that you saw in his eyes that he didn't want to be in there, and in that 3rd round, when you took the neck, it didn't look like it was that deep in, and it almost looked like a neck crank.
No, it was 100% the neck crank, and I have to be honest with you. When I grabbed that neck and I start cranking it, you'll wish I rather had a choke on. A lot of people being surprised that Darren Till tapped to that. They said, listen, he wanted to give up. Darren Till didn't want to be in there in that 3rd round anymore, especially after I landed some big shots in the striking exchanges. But that neck crank, let me tell you, anybody in the world would have tapped through that neck crank. It's easy to say I wouldn't tap to a crank. Wait up until you're in that position. It's either you're going to tap or I'm going to break your jaw. It's one of those things. And, it was in so deep. I had my hooks in, I had them straightened out, and it was basically just the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I've been in a few of those neck cranks in the past, and they do not feel good at all.
They
You
do
do
not
want to
feel
get
good at
choked.
all.
Yeah, they do not feel
Yeah.
good. Now, after that fight, man, your management company, Ruby, they mentioned that they signed you signed a new deal with the UFC ahead of this fight coming
Yeah.
up. How does it feel to extend your deal and get paid that contender money?
Oh, absolutely amazing. I mean, the new deal is absolutely amazing. My contract is amazing. I'm extremely happy. I'm uh, I'm getting paid my worth, and this is only the beginning. And yeah, absolutely, I'm getting that contender money, but I won't be surprised if I even get a new deal after this fight. I'm coming into this fight absolutely in a different space in terms of almost the imposter syndrome is over now. I belong in the UFC and I belong up there with the best in the world. And this fight's going to prove it. Having back-to-back camps like this, absolutely great. This will make up. Once you start fighting in the top 10, top five, it doesn't make sense to fight this often because there's not so many opponents. It's all about climbing the ladder, being smart about the fight, and getting that title shot and becoming the champion. But when they offered me this fight, I mean, they offered me this fight 10 days after the Toe fight. So basically, I had 2 weeks off and I was back into camp. And I didn't have any injuries from the Toe fight. I didn't have any damage. And I said, well, let's do it because there was fights that I missed in between the Brad Tavares, the Trevor Giles and Brad Tavares. There was a year where with COVID and everything and opponents pulling out, I had 3 opponents pulling out in that year. I had the COVID restrictions with the visas, and I basically lost 11 months of my career. And I say, well, this is perfect opportunity. Let's get it. Let's get this while it's hot. And after this fight, I do believe after this performance, I will get the number one contender fight, and I will prove why I deserve that number one contender fight. And it's great to see the UFC believing in me and to see them seeing the star power. They see the potential that I hold. And every time I step into the cage in the UFC octagon, I feel more at home. I felt the best that I've ever felt against Darren. So before the fight, the nerves, the lights, the situation of fighting in the UFC, feeling like I belong in the top of the cream of the crop of the world when it comes to fighting the best guys in the world. I believe it. I feel it, and right now it's not almost surreal anymore. It's real, and I believe I belong here, and I know I belong here.
Yeah, man, they definitely think highly of you. Back-to-back pay-per-view main cards, man. Derek Brunson, the number 5 guy. Thoughts on him and the style that he brings? It's an interesting matchup.
It's an interesting matchup. Let me tell you this: I think we're going to have one hell of a first round. With my style, Derek Brunson's style it's going to be a clash. It's going to be a high-paced. Derek Brunson always fights that way. I always fight that way. Like I said, I cannot be in a boring fight. It's not possible. I don't have the ability to be in a boring fight. Derek Brunson has very few of those. So I honestly don't see this fight going past 2. Derek Brunson, I have all the respect in the world for him. I've actually trained with him since I cross-trained with Sanford, now Cool Cliff FC under Henry Hooft down in Florida, and we've trained together. And listen, he's the number 5 ranked fighter in the world for a very, very good reason. But I am the next UFC champion for a very good reason. And I'm going to prove that. I'm looking forward to sharing the cage with such a legend. He's faced some of the best fighters the world's ever seen, especially he's faced some of the best 185ers in the world, and he's been around the block. He's been there. He's a legend of the game, and I'm looking forward to fighting him and stamping my name in that top 5 and showing why I do belong there.
How much did you train with him? Was it just like drilling partners? Was it sparring? What was it?
Yeah, we did a little bit of everything. We wrestled, we grappled, we sparred a little. It was a long time ago. Look, I was still fighting at 170, and I was still fighting at welterweight. It was probably back in 2018, maybe 2019. So it was quite a while ago. But Derek Brunson's 39 years old. Things haven't gone better for him. Things haven't gone better for me.
True. And talk about Brunson, man. His last fight against Jared Cannonier. What did you think about how he performed before the finish in the second round?
I think he did great. I think he almost won that fight. I just think that's the way he fights. He's going to go out there and try to impose his game plan. And, you can't go out there and do that. He dropped. He caught him with a big punch at the end of the round. He got his takedowns, but like he missed his opportunities. It's almost like he's chasing that takedown, and then what is he? Then he doesn't. That's where the plan is. Like, I have you down. Now what? Now what I'm gonna do? So I mean, he's executing the hardest part of the game is to get that takedown, to enter, to get your opponent up against the fence, get him without blocking, getting your hands together, getting under the hips. He gets him down, and then that's it. And he tries so hard to get that, and he uses so much energy and strength to try and keep you there. It's almost like an outdated style. It's an outdated style. It's an old school wrestling style, and I'm going to expose it. I am going to expose it. And in that fight, he got exposed. He got exposed with that exact style. He did good. He landed some good strikes. He got in for the takedowns, but great, you got a takedown. Now, what's going to happen from there? People know how to get up these days. Everybody can wrestle. I promise you, yeah, he's a great wrestler. But you'll see, I can wrestle. We saw it. I mean, I think he landed 4 out of 7 takedowns against Darren Till. Darren Till stuffed 3. I landed 6 out of 6 takedowns against Darren Till. Robert Whittaker is considered a very, very good wrestler. Went 5 rounds. He got 1 takedown out of 5 on Darren Till. I got 6 out of 6. That has to show you I can wrestle. Yes, and Darren Till, yeah, he's been criticized for his takedown defense. But what I'm saying is, Derek Brunson is one of the best wrestlers in the division. Never been taken down in a UFC fight, except for that fluke takedown I mean, he stuffed 4 of Yoel Romero's takedowns, took Yoel down 3 times. And he got stuffed 3 times against Darren Till. Darren Till couldn't stop even close to stop one of my takedowns. What I'm saying is, I'm ready for the wrestling. I'm ready for the grappling. If he gets me down, I would love to see him try and hold me down.
After that fight, Brunson was talking about retirement, and now he's talking about he wants to fight 4 times this year. It's very undetermined, right? What's in his mind? What does that say about his mindset heading into this fight when he's talking about walking away from the sport? And you are just starting in the UFC, rising up the ranks.
That's uncertainty. I see uncertainty. I see a guy who's in a crossroads in his career, in his life. It's time for the next step, and now he's going from one extreme to the other. From I want to retire to I want to fight 4 times in 1 year. He's not going to fight 4 times in 1 year. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. And anybody contemplating retirement that's getting in there with me is going to have a bad night at the office, because that retirement plans you had, that the moment you decide that I'm retiring, you always have that decision in your back pocket. You always have that back door. And once there's a back door to escape, when you face me, once the going gets tough, once we get to that, even if we go to the 3rd round, once we get to that dark place, that's when I start going. That's my comfort zone. It's when we get to that dark place. Once you get to that dark place and you have a back door like the old retirement, you're going to take the first chance you get to get on that exit. First chance he gets, he's going to say, listen, that retirement option wasn't a bad idea. I'm taking it.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy fight, man. And you mentioned that you don't really see it going past the 2nd round. What are you expecting out of yourself in this matchup? Do you expect to show something new, or do you feel like you're just building off what you did in the last fight?
Yeah, 100%. I want to go out there and prove every time I want to be better than the previous fight, and I will be better, because there was mistakes made in the previous fight, like every other fight, and we worked on that. And it's all about just, like I said, finding my feet, finding the guy that the performances that I have put up when I was comfortable back in EFC, KSW, those performances that I know I can. I'm probably a 6 out of 10 in terms of what I have done and what I'm now when I get in there. It's just because finding my feet, and every time I'll be better until the 100% still shows up. And one of these days I'm going to have that performance, and once I have it, once I'm that comfortable, that whole division is in trouble. The whole division is in trouble already. But once I start getting that flow state every time and on demand, it's not going to be a good fight. People are going to fear fighting. And after this fight, I want to already have that. I'm going to install in their mind the whole division is in trouble. Not a lot of them left, but what I want to do in this fight is prove my all-around, is prove that Yeah, I did gas in that second round, but you can't gas and then come back from that. People say yes, cardio issues, all that. Something was wrong in that fight, so we're not sure what, and we tried to fix it as best we could in that second round. But I still won the fight at the third round. If I was gassed out, I wouldn't have won the third round. Same with the Tavares fight. It was such a high pace. If the pace was that high and I won the decision, the third round I won. That means I'm outpacing my opponent. So yes, I do get tired, but so do they. And I'm used to that dark place. And I want to prove that once again. I want to be more technical in this fight. And I want to be clinical in this fight. I don't want it to be. I don't want there to be any doubt at all.
You're sitting at number 10. You know, you go in there, beat Brunson. He's sitting at number 5. That, you know, makes you a top 5 guy. And you mentioned a number 1 contender spot in the next bout. Robert Whittaker is a name. Jared Cannonier is a name. Who intrigues you more?
I would love to share the cage with Robert Whittaker. The Jared Cannonier fight is not something that really excites me. He tends to bring out the boring in people with the way he fights, a little bit of negative fighting. Robert Whittaker is an incredible athlete. I have the world's respect for him. I think he's a phenomenal athlete, and I would love to fight him. I would love to fight the winner of Whittaker and Khamzat, whoever wins that fight. And yeah, like I said, I'm not looking past Brunson in any way. Brunson is a phenomenal athlete. Like I said, he's faced the best. He's beaten so many good guys. He has all the experience. He's really somebody that I respect in the division, and I think he's an incredible fighter. He has knockouts over legends. He has, landed 3 takedowns against Joel Romero, Olympic gold medalist. This guy he's an absolute machine. So it's a massive honor for me to step in there and beat a guy like Brunson.
Do you think Whittaker takes out Khamzat?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
I think it's going to be. I think a lot of questions are going to be asked, and I think it's going to be interesting. It's a very hard fight to call. Like I just said yes because I'm a big fan of Whittaker, but there's going to be a lot of questions answered in that fight.
March 4th, UFC 285. You get to prove it. Thank you, Dricus, for so much for your time, and all the best in the fight.
Only a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me. Always fun.